Hello and welcome to another author interview. Today we are talking to Tyler Tarter, author of Stuck Over Heaven. It's a little sci-fi based book, a little touch of romance, a little touch of revenge, pretty much everything you could want in an action adventure. And I was hooked from the first page. I don't think that I've ever taken more notes reading a book. Don't worry, you don't have to take notes, but I took notes because he's also one of the founding authors for Fantasy, Fitness, and Food, which means that we aren't just reading this book, we are living it. We have 6 workouts, recipes, and walking quest themed to this book that we're going to do right as we read it. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Tyler. And Tyler, tell us a little bit more about your book.
Yeah. So Stuck Over Heaven's a book that's been in the works for quite a while for me. I've been wanting to write it for probably about 4 years now and was finally able to do it and get it published just this last September. So super excited about it. It's a story about a Grizzled veteran trying to get revenge for his murdered wife on a floating city controlled by gangs. That it's a lot of fun. I like to define it as sci-fantasy. So kind of a almost tech-based magic, but it's a lot of fun to read. A lot of people enjoyed it so far.
Yeah. It is a lot of fun to read. And speaking of like the fantasy sci-fi base, it has a very unique magical system and religious system. So there are like gods and a little bit of magic, but there's a lot of tech too. Was it
You
inspired by anything or is it fully from your imagination?
kind of. There's actually a short story that I wrote originally in this world that's kind of the long prequel. So the short answer is aliens showed up on this planet, and for all the Star Trek fans, they violated the Prime Directives. They let their technology make them Quasi-Gods on the planet, and that's where we're at about 1,000 years later to the start. And the results of
Awesome. One of my notes was, is there a prequel?
yes,
So now that I know that, I'm gonna have to get more from that.
believe it's the story. If you sign up for my newsletter right now, you get it for free. So I'll need to double check that. I may have teased it out for a Christmas story.
So while we're on the topic of mailing lists, where can they find that mailing list if they're interested in Christmas stories or prequels?
TylerTarter.com would be the easiest place to find that. You could also find it on social media. A lot of my links are on there. You could also just message me on social media as well, and I'm happy to send you that information.
Awesome. So, what do you hope readers take away from this book? Like lessons, ideas? What do you got for them?
Good question. One of the big things that stood out to me while I was writing this and that I wanted to portray is that there's always still hope, no matter how hard life gets. But honestly, for me, a little over about 4 years ago, I had a lot of major stomach issues to the point where my body was actually rejecting nutrients. And I was given 3 years to live. That's what caused me to publish stories in the first place. Because I wanted to have something to leave. So when I finally found the right doctors and they figured out the issue and managed to save my life, I wanted to portray that feeling in story as well. That there's always hope no matter how dark it gets. And it just takes a few little things to change everything.
I love that. And there are so many instances of just little things in this book
Mhm.
that you can tell like have a big impact on our main character and kind of
Mhm.
change how he's viewing his original plans.
Yes.
If someone was going to get sucked into this world, aliens, quasi-gods, armor
Mhm.
suits, what workouts do you think someone should do to prepare to be engrossed in this world?
Um, for this story, I tried to keep it as simple to get engrossed in as possible. Um, I'm a big sci-fi fan. I've been reading sci-fi for a long time. And I've been writing sci-fi for quite a while as well. But I wanted this story to be one that people could read if you're a fantasy fan or a sci-fi fan or whatever. But there's a lot of different things you can do for sure.
And I do have some great ideas for sci-fi based fantasy. This was a stretch for me. We're usually in the like swords, Fey
Mhm.
warriors, but we had some new stuff if you are interested in that. And I told Tyler, I think yesterday, some of those searches while I was looking up my ideas may have put me on a government block list
Yeah.
for urban warfare. Um, and things like shooting guns. So if I suddenly disappear, don't worry. I trained
Mhm.
by accident.
No worries. Yeah.
I didn't.
The reality is, I'm pretty sure the FBI has a watch list that's just called authors or the book community, because we research a lot of really weird stuff, just so we get stories right. For example, in my fantasy trilogy that I've also run out, I had to research how someone would die if they were stabbed in the stomach by a sword, to make sure I got that right. So I actually had to watch YouTube videos and other less good sites to make sure I got that right. So I'm definitely on at least one watch list somewhere, but every author I know has had that weird thing they had to research, especially if they write horror.
Yeah. I didn't expect to be on that list so soon, but here we are.
Yep, that's just kind of this world.
So, speaking of this world, you said that you'd had this kind of in the works for 4 years, and you do
Mhm.
have a fantasy trilogy out, a prequel for this series.
Mhm.
What does your writing process look like?
Right now, it's kind of all over the place. So I work in cybersecurity by day, and it's my office is a long commute from home. So I'm about an hour and 15-minute train ride every day. So that's when I get most of my running. But it's kind of forced, kind of chaotic, and I just write when I can. I love it when I can take some time off and just sit down and write really long and hard. But most of the time, it's a couple paragraphs here, a couple paragraphs there, and you squeeze it in when I can.
I like that. I had a business mentor one time to tell me just fit it in the nooks and crannies of your day.
Yep.
And I love that you're doing that and making it work because I have your book in my hand. Now, if
Mhm.
we have any aspiring authors out there, even if it's just that morning and afternoon commute, you can
Mhm.
make it work.
Yep. Yeah, I've got multiple author friends that are in kind of the same boat, but they have to drive. They literally just do voice to text and just literally talk their book out as they're driving. So whatever you have to do, do it. Just to get your story out. It's worth it. It's a lot of fun, but it is a lot of work as well.
I love that. Now, this next question is going to be a little bit out of pocket, but
Mhm.
since I follow you on social media, I noticed that you've been talking a lot about Warhammer, and I didn't realize that until those videos that the person on the cover looks like the little Warhammer character that my husband has in his car.
Mhm.
I have not played yet. He tried to get me. I got glued to myself and just switched back to D&D because there's no glue involved. But
Yeah.
uh, did Warhammer like inspire this book, or is that kind of like what started your sci-fi basis?
It's not what started it, but I've always loved Warhammer. It's one of the few unique blends of sci and other aspects. For example, fantasy's always had D&D for a long time, where you can kind of live your fantasy stories in real life. For sci-fi, Warhammer is about as close as you're going to get. I've been en- engrossed in the world for probably 6 years now. I got pulled in by the books because the whole Warhammer world has probably about 250 books in it. And then I started playing a tabletop, and actually have a YouTube channel that I run that talks about Warhammer 40K lore on top of it. So I do a lot of Warhammer stuff. And the cover artist for this, she does a lot of Warhammer 40K fan art, which is why I picked her intentionally for this, because I wanted that type of feel, that semi-grim dark sci-fi feel.
I love it. And this is probably one of my favorite book covers. I really like the pop of red in his armor, and you find
Mhm.
out why it's red in the book, which was
Yes.
also awesome.
Probably one of my
Well,
favorite covers that I've had on any of my books so far.
all right, so now I know there's a prequel for this, and we
Mhm.
also end up on a little bit up, like it's not a terrible cliff.
Mhm.
But what's next? Are we getting a book too soon, or is there projects we're working on before that?
Yeah. Unfortunately, I've got multiple running series right now, including some stuff that may be happening with a publisher as well. So it'll probably be 2027 when book two comes out. It's a planned trilogy, so I know how it's going to all end. But it is, yeah, 3 books. Then there's probably gonna be a couple short stories side to it as well. Um, yeah, so 2028, 2029, depending on what happens, is when we'll have it all out. Oh, I was gonna say it is in a shared universe too. So I do have the second military sci-fi series that is in the same universe. And that one has 2 books out, with the third one coming out this next year.
Perfect. So, like you said, the cliff isn't too bad. Like, it wraps up
Mm.
enough that you're not going to be mad at Tyler until 2026 or 27. Um,
Mhm.
and this is going to be our group read starting Monday, the 15th of December, but we do read them for a month, so I'm not exactly sure when this will come out. But when it does, hop on in, read this book. The reading guide will be available. So if you're watching this way in the future, you can still hop in, join the discussion, grab the workouts, grab the recipes. They will be there for as long as Tyler wants them in there. So feel free to hop on in when you grab this book, do the workouts, have fun, say hi to us. Tyler, is there anything you would like to say before we wrap up?
Um, no, besides, it's been a lot of fun working with you so far, and I've loved what you've done with some of the other books. I've been a part of the group for a little while now, and been trying to do the workouts as much as I can. Time is kind of killing me, but yeah, it's a lot of fun. I definitely say join and check it out. There's a lot of really cool books and a lot of fun workouts and recipes to do from that.
And well, speaking of recipes, I would say Tyler had the most, they're fantasy based. So they don't
Mhm.
exist in the real world. So I had to be real careful with my Googling because some of the things I found were poisonous. But don't worry, I did not add those to any of the recipes.
Yep.
So definitely give this book a read. Even if you're not into sci-fi or you don't know that you're into sci-fi yet, there's enough of the fantasy element that you'll still be hooked. And I really liked that blend of the two. And it's a fun, quick read. A lot going on, action packed. So go ahead, grab Back Over Heaven and join us in Fantasy Fitness and Food if you would like workouts, walking quests, and recipes inspired straight from these pages.